Well, good morning. I hope everybody is having a good time with their loved ones or families, and also you can spare some time to study for our test one. Uh, test one day window is tomorrow, Monday. So, a couple of things that I would like to say by through the recording of this video. So, when you go to lessons and modules, we are in online module 2. All back in the day, each model was in 4 weeks, so we decided that we have to spare more time in module 2, less time in module 1. That's why we did have in module 1, and I click on it, as you see, only 3 weeks. All right, so we started week 4, and couple of important things about week 4. In week 4 agenda or checklist, you will see that there is a new concept called difference of quotient. However, this concept will not be included in test 1. But for somehow you need to master it because we are continuing as we are taking our test. Just because we're taking the test this week, we cannot freeze learning. So that's one thing. But don't worry about difference of quotient in terms of test 1. The other thing that I want to say, the next folder that you're going to see both in week 4 and week 3, they're the same folders, test 1 preparation and review. So if you go there, they are the objectives. Basically, those objectives should be telling you that this is the summary that you learn in module 1. Are you familiar with all of them? Do you think that you can do most of them at least? And then lab manual practice problems there. And I click on it. So this is my student view. That's why I'm not very competent to govern the student view. So lab manual practice problems, I just want to open them and show some of the things there. That's the purpose, one of the main purpose of this video. You really need to know, first question, the function names. Alright, so this is a cube root function, this is a rational function, this is an absolute value function. So you really need to know their names. That's one thing. This is a very typical question, question number 2 for test 1. How would you test if a function is one-to-one? What test do you apply? And why is function f of x is one-to-one or y is not one-to-one? Trying to find the function values by having some inputs. If the function output is -1, what would be the input? What's the range? What's the domain of the function in interval notation? Okay. So identifying the asymptotes and end behavior. That's another typical question on the test. Same thing. Domain and range of a function here, if there is any horizontal asymptote or a vertical asymptote. Average rate of change and the meaning of average rate of change. So there are 2 ways that you can calculate average rate of change. One of them is like a slope, delta y over delta x. The other one is you enter the x values, input values into function, obtain the y values, and then you take the ratio and the meaning of average rate of change in the context. Finding the absolute extremas, absolute or local minimum, absolute or local maximum, increasing, decreasing intervals. Remember, increasing, decreasing intervals, we look at the x values. When x is this value, between those 2 values, function is increasing or decreasing. Inverse functions, we've done that, and we've just done the inverses from the graph. So what's the domain of the graph given? What's the range of the graph given? Domain and range of the graph given. So then range of f inverse will be the domain of f. Domain of f inverse will be coming from the range of f, right? You just cross them. That's all you need to do. Combining functions, what we need to think. their intersection. What points can we get? There's one combining function question. This is a very easy one. Determine the solutions of functions from their intersection. What points they intersect, and that's their solution. Transformation question. So you had that question in your group assignment, and I'm opening the parentheses here. I will talk about more in your group assignment at the end of this video. So transformation of a function from the points and performing those transformations is also important. So this is very similar to beginning questions again. Average rate of change by plugging the points. 14. Question 15 is combining functions. Now, question 16, finding the domain of the function. So remember, for domain, if a function is rational and if you do have an x term in the denominator, there will be a restriction. Domain cannot be 0. If a function is even root, not cube root, not fifth root, not seventh root, then inside terms, inside statement in the even root should be greater than equal to 0. You can have both, like in question 16 part D. So you have two restrictions there. 3x plus 7 cannot be equal to 0. 3x plus 7 should be greater than 0 and equal to 0. So you need to combine them. For instance, for E, we don't have any restriction because it's a cube root function. So the domain will be negative infinity to positive infinity. Right? And then solving absolute value equations. So I've just done in this, like 7 minutes, just flew over those 17 questions. Solutions of those questions are also attached. I want to on the key. And obviously this is a key. For some questions, you don't have to show any work. For instance, finding the range from here, finding the domain, horizontal asymptote. So that's pretty trivial, but you really need to understand what's happening, why it's happening. But for instance, in question 6a, your answer is 437. You need to show the work. So you need to tell me how did you get that number. But for some of them, like in question 5, there is no work to be shown. That's okay. And I'm gonna go, like for this one, systems, solutions of systems from the graphs. You're just going to let me know the intersection points. There's, again, nothing to show. What I try to say here is sometimes the key is the solution. It can't go any more detail or any further than that. But on question 16, you cannot just provide those answers and that will be correct. You really need to show the work. Why are you ending up with this for question 16a? I'm assuming you need to factor the denominator, find the zeros of this polynomial, and since that's a rational function, denominator cannot be 0. That's why you're excluding those values, and you need to put in that as a work to be shown on the test. So that's one aspect of it that I needed to emphasize. Test 1 window is opening tomorrow. That's the first day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you really need to take the test. One of the testing centers that e-learning testing center approved, which 99% is the Wake Tech testing center. The other thing is, please make sure you do lab manual practice problems and look at the key and bring on questions as time allows. I'll try to answer your questions. The other thing is WebAssign quiz. All 4 of them are due tomorrow morning. That's not new for us. We know that from the beginning. That's what happens when the first module opens. When the module opens initially, all the quizzes are open. You can do them anytime you want, but by the end of the module, you need to complete them. Last thing, group assignment. Please put your group evaluations. If you do not put your group evaluations, I will not be able to grade them. I have graded discussion posts too. I post my grades, but I cannot grade the group evaluations because I don't know how much everybody contribute. Did everybody contribute fairly? As far as I read, for some of the responses, it's not the case, and that is okay. I will grade whatever the group evaluation says in terms of their group members. If 2 of the group members says that you did not contribute at all, your attendance will be absent and your grade will not be honored. I will give, I don't remember the group assignment point, I think it was 60 or something like that. So those 2 group members will take 60 and your grade will be 0. And life happens, I understand, but you should have communicated with that. And you can only have 4 attendances. After the 4 attendance, I need to withdraw you from the class. So I hope this video will be helpful for you. It's long, it's about we're going nearly 11 minutes. Have a good Sunday. And last thing, there's an attendance requirement for Blackboard quiz. All right, so it's on the last, second last item on the table of contents. Please complete that. It's very useful. It gives you a quick snapshot of your some of your test 1 questions or possible test 1 concepts that you might encounter. All right, see you then.